Enjoy your time in the Capitol today. The gentleman from Fairfax, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of personal privilege.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, continuing our theme of Black History Month, I rise today to speak about a man who over the course of 5 decades excelled in 3 full-contact sports: football, the law, and politics. His name was William Henry Lewis. Lewis was a son of Virginia, born to former slaves in Berkeley, which is now known as Norfolk, in 1868. And he excelled in both academics and athletics throughout his childhood. Lewis attended Virginia Normal and Collegiate Institute, which is now Virginia State University, for a year before he transferred to my alma mater, Amherst College in Amherst, Massachusetts, where he graduated in 1891 along with future President Calvin Coolidge. Lewis is and always will be among Amherst's most distinguished graduates. We are deeply proud to have him as an alum. At Amherst, Lewis was the first African American to integrate a college football team, and Lewis excelled on the field. He became the first African American to be named an All-American. And after graduating from Amherst, Lewis moved on to Harvard Law School, where he became the first African American to play on Harvard's football team. He graduated from Harvard Law in 1895 and became a coach on the Harvard football team. And he then wrote a book on football strategy and became widely regarded as the equal to the immortal Walter Camp on football knowledge. While Lewis's football accomplishments are notable, even more notable is what Lewis was able to achieve as a civil rights pioneer in politics and the legal profession. Lewis entered politics soon after graduating law school, first serving on the Cambridge, Massachusetts City Council and then serving in the Massachusetts State Legislature. In 1903, President Teddy Roosevelt made the historic decision to make Lewis the first African American to be appointed as an assistant United States attorney, a federal prosecutor. Lewis thrived as an AUSA over the next 8 years and was then nominated by President Taft to be the first African American appointed to a sub-cabinet position. He became Assistant Attorney General of the United States. Because of his race, Lewis's nomination faced stiff resistance in the Senate, but his nomination was confirmed in early 1911. It was at this point in his life that Lewis also became the first African American member of the American Bar Association. When the ABA tried to oust Lewis in 1911 because of the color of his skin, Lewis refused to back down. Much to the everlasting shame of the American Bar Association, Lewis was eventually kicked out in 1912. Lewis was a pioneering civil rights leader, Mr. Speaker, throughout his career. In a speech at Amherst in 1902, he described race as the transcendent problem facing the country and dedicated his life to fixing that problem. In one of the first cases of its kind, a generation before Brown v. Board, Lewis filed a lawsuit in Massachusetts after a white barber refused to shave him and cut his beard in Boston. That lawsuit led to a Massachusetts law that prohibited racial discrimination in places of accommodation, public accommodation, perhaps the first such law of its kind in the country. Lewis later became one of the first African-American lawyers at the newly created NAACP, continuing to lead the way for other historic African-American lawyers like another great Virginian, Oliver Whitehill. Lewis developed a reputation as an outstanding trial lawyer, and he even argued before the United States Supreme Court. By the time Lewis passed away in Boston in 1949, Mr. Speaker, at the age of 81, he was one of the unquestioned leading lights of the legal profession and of the growing civil rights movement. He and his life had laid the groundwork for and inspired later giants like Thurgood Marshall, who, with Lewis in mind, wondered once publicly, where would I be without the sacrifice and legal genius of Negro lawyers that were before me? It was in 1913, while serving in the Massachusetts House of Representatives on the occasion of the anniversary of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation, that Lewis noted the following. Quote, "There are only 3 great charters of freedom among Anglo-Saxon people. The Magna Carta, which the barons wrung from King John at Runnymede, the Declaration of Independence, which the colonials threw at the head of an obstinate king, and the Emancipation Proclamation, which Lincoln cast into balance for the Union. The Magna Carta gave freedom to nobility. The Declaration of Independence brought freedom down to the plain people. The Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln set free the underman and proclaimed liberty to the slave and the serf throughout the world." Mr. Speaker, William Henry Lewis's life and his life's work stands as an inspiration to us all, a testament to a life lived in dedication to the advancement of liberty. May all of us remember this great son of Virginia and remain inspired by his example. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.